Hello students, a very good morning. So students, in next class we have ended our chapter, and now today let's start the new chapter, that is now the system of particles and rotational motion. So in this chapter, first I will tell you what we are going to do, why we are going to study this chapter. So as up to now we have considered the concept of point mass, where means we have neglected the shape size of any system. Whenever a body is moving, we have neglected the other part of that body. We have taken only a center part that is moving, means all of the even massier body we have taken just like as the point mass. But as in our real life, bodies are not of point mass, they have definite mass, they have definite size. So it means if we will see the body that is made up of a large amount of particles, so it means the point masses, that is just like the particle. Now if we have the number of particles, number of point masses, so this is now called the system of particles. So it means now we are going to study the real object here, the real object that has some definite size, that has some definite mass. We are not going to neglect the size of that object, we are going to take it into the consideration. So first topic that we will discuss here, that is now the system of particles. After that, the system of particles that is possessing what kind of motion. So in that system of motion particles, the first type of motion is now again linear motion. Then we will discuss about the rotational motion. Also there is one more type of motion, that is vibratory motion, that we will discuss in chapter 10. So it means here unit 10. So it means that now we will discuss all kind of motions even in class 11 for the rigid body or for the system of particles. So let's start our chapter now with this discussion. So our chapter starting first of all, first topic from the system. So system is what? System is the collection of particles, molecules, ions, atoms. So it means whatever in a way, whatever the constituent particles of the system, if collection of them we will take, then that is collectively known as system. Now the next one, what is now the rigid body? The word here I have written, that is now the rigid body. So rigid body is that kind of system. Here I am talking about the system now. We are talking about the number of particles that through which the any body is composed of. So rigid body is now a system in which it has some definite size and it has some definite mass now. So we are going to consider its shape, size and masses now. Now the next one, if you will see the forces that are acting on the system. So there are also two types of forces that is acting on the system. First is internal force, second is external force. So internal forces means the one particle that is applying the force on the another particle, so through which internal forces is constituting, and as number of particles we have, they all are going to cancel out each other effect. So net internal force is always zero if the body is in equilibrium condition. But if like body is at rest or body is moving with uniform velocity, so that time it will have internal force that is zero. But here if we are applying any external force, like we are pushing, pulling, or we are applying any other kind of force, then that time it is known as external force. So it means whenever we are we will change the state of object, like state of rest, state of motion, state of direction, then that time we need some external force, and due to that external force we can change its motion. So how many types of motion the system or the rigid body can perform now? So we will see here. So rigid body is going to perform basically three types of motion. The first type of motion is now known as pure translational motion. So in kind of motion, if you will see the first one, that is now pure translational motion. So what a translational motion, you are aware of this one. We have discussed linear motion, we have discussed straight motion along the straight line, that is the translational motion. So it means the rigid body that is possessing, that is doing pure translation, only it is just traveling from one place to another. Suppose we have a body and that body now, suppose this is the rigid body that has definite shape, size, mass, and that is now going under this some force that is moving in this direction. So with time this is moving, only this is doing the rectilinear motion, or this is doing translational motion. So it means all the particles of this whole of the body is moving collectively in a straight line. So every particle, whatever the particle here, that is all moved in the same direction. That's why they will move equal distance, they will do equal displacement, and that's why the system will move, overall system will move on a straight line, and that type of motion we are saying that is now translatory motion. So this is our pure translational motion. Now second type of motion here, that is now called pure rotational motion. Second one is pure rotational motion. So what is now the pure rotational motion? So in the pure rotational motion, body will only rotate. That will not do any kind of other motion. It will rotate. You can see, if you have just suppose a string you have taken and some of the mass you have attached, you have started to move that mass. So it means that body is not doing any kind of linear, only it is rotating that time. So that type of motion is known as pure rotational motion. Third kind of motion, if you will see, means here in this case particle is not displacing along any direction. It is only just changing its angle, and due to that one it is doing pure rotation. The third kind of motion is known as combination of translation and rotation motion, and that is known as rolling motion. Now the third kind of motion is now rolling motion. So rolling motion is what? In which we are getting both type of motion, rotation plus translation, means body is rotating as well as it is moving in forward direction or backward direction, in any direction. Means it is also doing the translatory motion, it is doing the rotatory motion. So if both kind of motions, like if you are just spinning some ball and you have just throw it, so the ball is going also with the spin, it is going in forward direction. So that kind of motion is rolling motion. The fourth kind of motion is also possible, that is now vibratory motion. So if we will displace any particle, that will start to go do to and fro motion, that is known as vibratory. So as that motion we have not discussed in this chapter, so that's why I am not taking into consideration that one. In unit 10 we will discuss already that one. So here as a kind of motion of rigid body, I think that is now clear. So as an introduction of this chapter, it is clear what in our chapter, we are going to do. We are going to just discuss about the system of particle, means in place of one particle, its motion, we are going to discuss motion of all particles through which the system is composed of. So let's start now our topic with one by one. So the first topic that we will discuss to understand the system of motion or the rigid body motion, that is now center of mass. So what is now the center of mass? As it is very hard to study the individual particles motion. Means suppose you have any of the system, this is your system, and this system is composed of number of particles. So as if number of particles are here, so if we will apply any external force, then obviously all individual particle will start to move due to that force. So if different force they will apply, this particle will move to start. Suppose in this direction we are applying force, so all individual particle will start to move. So if we will start to study all individual particles motion, then that will be very complicated, that will be very complex, and it will take a lot of time. So that is very hectic things for us, that is very complex thing. So to reduce this complex nature to complexity, we are just taking a point on which whole of the mass of the system is concentrated. Means we can take, you can say, the average mass of this whole particles as a center of mass now. So center of mass is that point where the mass of the body is concentrated. Means we can just replace this whole number of masses by a single mass, and that single mass motion we will just take into consideration. We will study the motion of that single point, and that will represent the motion of whole of the system, whole of the body. So that it means again we are doing the same thing. We are studying the real problem, but we are converting our real problem into the problem of point mass that we have done before already. Means here if we have a lot of number of particles through which the system is composed, we are taking single point on which we can say whole of the system's mass is concentrated, and that concentrated mass, its system we will, or its motion we will discuss now. So let's just suppose these whole particles, this is the point that is now center of this whole system, means on which we can see the mass is concentrated. So if we will see the motion of this point, means with time what is the displacement of this point, that we will take the displacement of whole system, or we will, if you have to understand through which velocity the system is moving, so we will see through which velocity this point is moving, and that will be the velocity of the system. It means our whole of the study about the rigid body or system of particle is going to be depend on the center of mass. So this is going to be a very important topic here, as our all topics of this chapter will be depending on this topic, particular topic. So center of mass is that point on which the whole of the mass of the system is supposed to be concentrated. Now system of center of mass can also lie on a real point, on it can lie in the imaginary point. Like if you have suppose some of the bangle, so for this bangle, you know, its whole of the mass is concentrated on this rim, but we can see its center of mass that is at the center of this whole bangle. So it means this center is not existing. This is imaginary point that we have taken into consideration, but still it is valid for our study, because this whole system, its center is taken to be this one, and we will see the motion of this one, and with the help of that we can see the motion of this whole bangle. And sometime it can also exist in the same system, like if our body is suppose any of the spheric, this kind of a square, and this is suppose a rigid square, means this square is total filled up, this is not hollow exactly, solid square I am talking. For solid square, its center will supposed to be center of mass, and if it is hollow, its center is also supposed to be center of mass, but that time it will be imaginary. So this is the difference of the choice of center of masses, but that can be imaginary, that can be real, both it can be. Now next one, let's see the system of the center of mass of two particle system. So if we have two particle system, how can we calculate its center of mass? How can we calculate the equivalent mass of these two particles? So first one, suppose our system is composed of now two particles and one particle, and this is suppose two particle system we have, and now one particle that is so we are going to take some of the rectilinear system. So this is suppose OX, OY and OZ. These are two masses now. So this is our mass M1, this is our mass M2. The position vector of this mass M1 and M2, this is now R1, this is now R2. Now let us suppose this a point C that is representing their center of mass. That position vector is represented by R now. Now if we are going to apply two forces on these systems, suppose F1 force is applied here, F2 force is applied, then we can now understand what will be the center or mass of this center point in terms of this M1 and M2. So for this one, as first of all we can calculate the velocity through which these particles will start to move whenever the force will be applied on it. So the velocity of the first mass M1, or we can also write this is point A, this is point B. So if the velocity of point A, suppose this is denoted by V1, so this will be the rate of change of displacement. So displacement is what? R1, we can calculate by this. Similarly, the velocity of second one, M2, we can calculate by rate of change of displacement, so dR2 by dt. This will be now the rate here. The next one, we can calculate what will be the value of force here in this case. So as you know, the value of force can be calculated by rate of change of momentum by using Newton's second law. So the momentum of the first particle, if it is denoted by P1, so this will be M1 into V1 now. So it can be written as M1 dR1 by dt. And similarly P2, this is momentum of M2, we can write it M2 V2. So this will be now M2 dR2 upon dt. Now let's utilize our concept of Newton's law now. So if you will use now Newton's law, or Newton's second law of motion. I'm just rubbing this one. Let's this one. So here we can write the forces that are acting on the first. This is F1. Also, this body will apply some of the internal force on this. So suppose the internal force applied on the body 1 by 2. This is F12. So we can write this one. This should be equal to, now this force should be equal to rate of change of momentum by using Newton's law. So here this should be dP1 by dt. So if you will just write now the value of dP1 by dt, so obviously that will be m1 dV1 by dt, or we can also write this is m1 d2r1 upon dt2. As v1 is equal to dr by dt, we can utilize this concept now. Similarly, we can find out, this is suppose equation 1, we can find out the forces that is acting on this. So second particle forces are acting F2, and also the internal force will be act here due to this one. This is suppose F21. So this will be now equal to m2 and dv2 by dt. Similarly, from here you can use dp2 by dt and you can formulate this line. And now if you will write the value of v2, that is dr2 by dt, so you will find out m2 d2r2 upon dt2. This is our equation 2. So these two things first of all we have found out. Now after this one, if you will see or you will just add these two. So let's add them, these two equations 1 and 2, let's add them. So if you will add them, then you will find out F1 plus F2 plus F12 plus F21 on this side, and on this side m1 d2r1 upon dt2 plus m2 d2r2 upon dt2. This one you will got from here. And after that, you know the internal forces that both have different direction. So it means in place of F21 we can write minus of F12. So that is action reaction pair they are forming. So these two will be cancelled out. So it means that our net internal force that will be 0 in the system, only external forces will act now. Now if you will see this third point, that is C point. So if this C point, you will see on this C point both forces are acting, so that both forces will be F1 plus F2. Suppose this force is equal to now F. So this F can be written by using just Newton's second law, such as dP by dt, and we can write ddt of P will be what, that is m. Suppose the mass of the center point, that is m, and P is P. Suppose the velocity of center point is v naught, so this will be mv, and we can write again this m as taken as here, so m dv by dt. Also v can be written as rate of change of displacement. So if you will solve, it is obtained as d2r by dt2. So this is now our point here that we have obtained, sorry students, for this one. So this is our equation number 3 now. So now here if F is equal to, you will see this is equal to F1 plus F2. So it means this line should be equating this one. So let's equate that one now. Or just before equating that one, you can just write down the value of dr1 and dr2. Also you can use the vector law here to just derive the relationship between r1, r2 and this r now. So as from here you can find out r is equal to, that will be obtain now m d2r upon dt2, that should be equal to m1 dt2 square upon r1 square plus m2 r2, this is d2 upon dt2. Clear? Now we can just write down this equation in some different term. So it can be written as ddt of m1 dr1 by dt plus m2 dr2 by dt. We can write this line. Now in another line you can again write this value as ddt2 of, now we can again replace them by m1r1 plus m2r2. You can solve this line, and that line will have the same value as this one. So it means that we can now replace these lines by this, and from here if you will write, this can be written as m or we can write d2 dt2 of m into r from here. So we can now replace this, or we can just compare these two components from here. So let's just see this component now, and for this component you can see the lines. This will be finally, now we can write this is m r, this is now m1 r1 plus m2 r2 now. And as we know, m is equal to what? M is the center of mass, that is denoting all these points, that is average or that is masses, the summation of masses of all these. So it means we can write in this place, this is m1 plus m2, this is r now. So this is m1 r1, this is m2 r2 now. Now in finally we can obtain the coordinate of center of mass, means where the center of mass will situate. We can find this information by this whole concept. So by defining the center of mass, that is equal to this one, we can find out the position, exact position, where will be the center of mass, because this is our the biggest problem or biggest confusion to understand where will be the center of mass. How can we find out where it should be? So for that case you can adopt now this formula. This is for the two system. Similarly, if you have the number of system, then here it will add m1 r1 plus m2 r2, this will be m3 r3 plus m4 r4 and so on, and in downward we will get m1 plus m2 m3 plus m3 plus m4 and so on. So it means we can expand our formula according to our number of particles through which our system is composed of, and we can find out what will be the location, exact position of the center of mass by this formula. So this formula is very useful to find out position, to find out exact location of the center of mass. So our first difficulty to understand the system and the rigid body, how can we define the center of mass, how can we understand about where will be the center of mass, that is now I think erased. So let's move for the next topic now. So now students, we can conclude something about this formula. The first thing that we can conclude from here, that is the whole of the mass, that is m1 plus m2 plus m3 plus m4 and so on. This mass is supposed to be at single point at C, and that point is known as center of mass. First point. The second point here, that we can see the position of center mass, that is depending on individual masses and their positions, and also the whole of their masses or their summation now. The third one, if you will see from here, suppose the center of mass that is at origin. So for that one, as it is at origin, so this r should be 0 for that case, and this value will be 0. It means that we have the concept m1 r1 plus m2 r2, that will be 0. Here I am going to write actually, and that is not visible. So m1 r1 plus m2 r2, this is now 0. So it means if you will calculate, suppose r2 from here, so that will be minus of m1 upon m2 into r1. So it means that if first of the body or first mass, if it is in left side or in positive direction, then second one will be obviously in negative direction. That's why we will get the center of mass at origin. So it is always mandatory, like we have taken example of bangle. So for that case, if you will see why we are observing and in which condition we will obtain, suppose this is our bangle. So if you will see the mass on the bangle, suppose, and this is suppose 4 of the masses are here on the bangle, and if you will see all the masses that through which the bangle is composed of, one is in the positive direction, then one is opposite direction. So their center point is this one. Similarly for these positive and negative direction, center point is this one. So that's why we are obtaining in these cases as the origin as center of mass. So you can find out easily where will be the center of mass, and if it is at origin, then where will be the location of other particles, individual particles, even if you are knowing the position of only one particle and you are knowing the separate you can say masses of their individual particles. So students, I think these all topics are now clear to you. So students, with discussion on this topic, let's end for today our class here. So I think the introduction about the chapter, system of particles, and one more thing here, the center of mass concept we will obtain whenever there is external force that is applying. Otherwise we don't need to understand that concept and study that concept. So these all, I think that is now clear. So students, in next class first we will see the motion of center of mass, means how the center of mass is moving, that's motion we will discuss. And for that motion first we will see the translational, that we will see the rotational, and that after that we will see combination of both. So I think for today all the things are clear. So let's end our class here. Thank you students.